Sometimes we don't win. Don't give us a bird. Don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Red River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Hello to everyone. Welcome to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Steve Wyss and James Eastham this Thursday, the 7th of November, which means Europa League, Europa Conference League. There's a few other matches going across Europe as well. NFL, Thursday night football. James, are you ready for a big show?
Steve, I am ready for a big show. As you said, we have got the two competitions in Europe and some other games as well. And as always, it's a huge program of matches, isn't it? Because there's so many games in the Europa League and the Conference League. So plenty to look at. Looking forward to all the questions. We've obviously picked out some games that we want to look at, but we're obviously open to suggestions as well about other games. And we're happy to talk about any of them really on the program today.
Yeah, get any questions in. We'll do our very best to answer them. There's so many matches across the board. I'm sure there's people in chat who've got some very specialised local knowledge and all that sort of thing. So do put your best bets in. Disky, welcome in, and thanks very much for a very kind comment there. Rick, always good to see you. Kushel Pockle says, can we have a Stevie special, which is out for 4.5 goals for today? I like that one. I'm going to have to think of a match now for over 4.5 goals. Welcome in Ming, Kevin as well. Malunga Mavula, great to see you. He likes Man United, both teams to score, yes. And CMB there, Gala Spurs. We're going to talk about that match straight off the bat. Rich has got a question. James, what possessed you to choose such a wild Christmas dinner choice? It wasn't James's pick. This is in conversation I had with Nigel on the live show on Tuesday about salted celeriac. Someone chose that, and it wasn't James. It was someone else.
Rich, do you know what, Rich? I can't go to the Christmas dinner. We were just talking about this before we were off air. I can't make it, but I will be going to the post-meal entertainment. So, yeah.
Yes.
I might make desserts. I'll have to wait and see, but there'll be no celeriac for me.
No, it was Jack Wright with the celeriac selection. S says, surely Ajax and Man United will win tonight. Ajax -1.5 looks popular so far. Hearts versus Heidenheim. Gosh, there's so many games, isn't there? We'll get through all of them. We've got to start somewhere though, James, and we're gonna. Yeah. This is a tasty one. Galatasaray against Tottenham. Now, there's been quite a move this week for Galatasaray. They're actually the favourites now on this money line here, plus 140, plus 138 actually at the time of recording live, plus 165 for Spurs on the money line, and the over goal line now is plus 105 for over 3.5. Now, I think the main reason that Galatasaray have shortened with the odds as the week's gone on is that their team news is quite favourable. Spurs have got a few injuries on the board, and also I think there's a perception that Spurs might overlook this game potentially. They've had a good start in Europe. They can afford to drop some points. Big game for Galatasaray. I mean, first and foremost, on this money line selection, what do you make of it?
Yeah, well, I agree with your reading of it. Anybody that's looking at it and thinks that Galatasaray are maybe too short, given they're playing a top Premier League side here. I think the way you've summed it up there is correct. The team news is really good from what we can see at the moment for Galatasaray. They look strong. And Tottenham, not so strong. It looks as though they might be without, Van der Ven and Romero in defence. It also looks like they might rotate a little bit as well. So there's a bit of uncertainty at the moment about the Tottenham starting 11. I think that's fed into the market here as well, because like you say, Steve, they've made a great start in Europe. So you can look at that two ways, can't you? You can think, well, actually, maybe they're a good bet here because they're taking the competition seriously. They've got 3 wins out of 3. They beat AZ at home. They beat Qarabag at home, and they won away to Ferencvaros. But will they play the strongest side that they've got? We don't know. And as I say, we think Galatasaray will. So looking at the team news, I think it favours Galatasaray, you might want to wait until you get that team news, because then you'll know for sure exactly how strong Tottenham are. But I just feel the team news will swing this one in Galatasaray's favour. Looking at the market, Steve, I've seen some of the questions there coming up, or statements, should I say. People expecting goals. I missed the name there. Jorno bet Galatasaray. Yes, there we go. That's my feeling as well on this game. I think that this is a match that Galatasaray can get something from. Jorno bet is minus 127, I think. I would personally favour the Jorno bet on Galatasaray over the Jorno bet on Tottenham. I find it hard to see them losing this, given that their team news is strong. They're at home, and Tottenham are below strength and might rotate as well. Tottenham are the underdogs. They're, I think, plus 100 Jorno bet. Galatasaray minus 127 Jorno bet. But my pick on the game, my main pick, I think there's some good prop bets here as well, but my main pick would be Galatasaray. And you've mentioned, Steve, and I've outlined as well there, Tottenham's good results. We should say Galatasaray have done pretty well in the competition so far. They got 2 wins and a draw. They've also made a very, very strong start to the season in the Turkish league. I think they've won 9 out of 10. So there's plenty of reasons why I think Galatasaray will be a really, really tough ask here for Tottenham. And as I say, I just feel the team news, the fact they're at home, I think Galatasaray draw no bet is a smarter selection than Tottenham draw no bet.
Yeah, we're going to give you a selection of bets today. We're both going to give you a best bet each, a second best bet, and we're actually going to have a third selection each in addition to a prop bet. And this is actually listed as your third best bet of the day.
Yes.
Galatasaray on the Tino bet, minus 127. I tell you what, I was looking at the goal line for this game earlier. And when it was at 3.25, I think I was sort of umming and ahhing, do I take it or do I not? That was when it was close to even money. It's now minus 124 and over 3.25. So I can't really strike, because I was hoping it might go the other way towards 2.75. The logic in me thinks that there should be goals in the game because of the players that are on show. I mean, Galatasaray have got a plethora of weapons at their disposal. And, Osimhen and all that lot, Spurs. We don't know the 11 for Spurs. That's must be said. I think there's going to be, there'll be some questions answered when we do get that 11. We might even get the 11 before the end of the show. But I mean, if I was looking at like bet building for the game, parlaying, I'd be thinking sort of Galatasaray and tie, maybe both teams scoring over 2.5 sort of territory. Personally, you do have your prop bet for the show on this game as well.
Yes.
Talk us through that one.
Yeah, well, you've mentioned, Steve, they're absolutely stacked, aren't they, with attacking quality at Galatasaray? And I looked at the goal line as well. What should you do about that, given that you've got some real big name strikers in the Galatasaray team? Will that make it an overs game? That was actually what led me towards the Galatasaray Tino bet pick. I feel that will play out that way, and it will help them make sure they get at least a draw. But it does give you opportunities in the props market, because the front two, we think, for Galatasaray tonight is going to be Osimhen and Icardi. Now, that is real quality in attack. And these are two players who they've already obviously shown this season. I think Icardi's got 2 goals in 3 games in Europe, what they can do. And we know all about what a good player Osimhen is. So some people might think that's going to lead to goals generally in the game, and you might want to look at that goal line. But as you said, Steve, it's now fairly high. You've got to be going at 3.25 goals at around evens if you want to back high goals. So I prefer looking at just these 2 players. Maybe to score. They're obviously interested in the scorers market. I'm putting them together for my prop bet on the game in the over 0.5 shots on target market. If you put them both in a parlay, Icardi and Osimhen, to both individually have over 0.5 shots on target, it pays out at plus 102. I think that's worth taking, worth looking at, worth thinking about, because we think they're going to start. That's the latest team news we have. They're going to play up front against the Tottenham defence, which is under strength. We already know it's going to be under strength. And you're not even looking for them to score here. You're looking for them to manage just a shot on target each. So I think that's worth looking at as a prop bet in a game where I would expect Galatasaray to do a huge amount of attacking. And obviously those 2 guys are really dangerous. So yeah, that would be my prop. As I say, the goal line for me it's too high now for me to consider a selection on it. I don't think over 3.25 at around even money is worth taking. So, yeah, my views on this game are Galatasaray, the Tino bet pick. And as I say, that shot on target double parlay on Icardi and Osimhen for Galatasaray is worth looking at.
What was I going to say? Yes, I agree. I totally agree about the goal line now. I don't think we can really get involved in that. Wouldn't want to put off anyone going on the overs, but I think the value is gone with that. So, shots on target there. Icardi and Osimhen just need one each, and you get in a plus money winner for your prop bet there today. In addition to the Tino bet selection from James, Spurs against Galatasaray. Just having a look through the comments now. Werner and Richarlison are out for Spurs, and will they risk Solanke? Solanke did have a knock, didn't he, recently as well? We've got to look at that team news. We do have to wait for those lineups. That's a big thing.
It is a big thing. Just on Solanke, I think that's actually key to the game for Tottenham to a degree, because he's obviously a big player for them. And, when they've got a couple of players out, I think the big players become that bit more important, really. So we don't know, as you've said, Steve, we don't know at the moment if he's going to start or if some of the other players are going to start or rotate. But it may be worth looking at for some people if they can wait for team news, because it could potentially make a big difference. Of course, the team news might lead to the prices changing. Prices will change quite close to the game as team news filters through. But I can understand the questions, because for Tottenham, I think it's particularly important on this match.
Good day to you, Duncan, as well. Simon King says Spurs looking to beat Coventry with a similar lineup. Well, that's why Galatasaray, I think, do have appeal here, Simon. Rafael Silva, appreciate your very kind words. Extra Time Show paid his rent last month. He might be in arrears for this month so far if you followed my selections last weekend, but we'll do our best to get you some more winners across November, Rafa. Spurs lost their last two on the road, says Player Cam. And Ray's back. Good to see you live as well. And he says the Spurs away form is worrying. We've got a match that I want to talk about now in Norway. Kicks off. These matches kick off, by the way, at 12:45 Eastern, the ones that we're talking about now. Bodo Glimt up in the Arctic Circle against Qarabag from Azerbaijan. My best bet of the day comes in this fixture. And also I've got a player prop lean for you here. Bodo Glimt have an unbelievable record at home in Europe since they won the league in 2020. They have played 30 games. This includes qualifiers against some really poor teams, in fairness. But they've won 24 out of 30 home games in Europe. 20 of those games have gone over 2.5 goals. And the main reason, a lot say it's because of where they are in the Arctic Circle. And sometimes when it gets cold, that is a factor. But their pitch is artificial and teams don't like playing on it, James. It's as simple as that. And it promotes their style, their brand of football perfectly. Some artificial pitches are not very good. This is really good for goals. So for me, it's the same game parlay. And it's Bodo Glimt to win and over 2.5 goals. Plus money winner this would be. Plus 112. And bear in mind, Bodo Glimt are minus 152 on the money line. Yeah. You could take them minus 1 Asian. But they have... they're involved in an important title race themselves, so they might be looking ahead to the weekend a bit. I'm not guaranteeing they'd win to 0. So, I quite like Qarabag to score here, to be fair. They're bottom of the table. They've got nothing to lose now. They might as well have a go. And they actually played Molde last year in around the same period and got a 2-2 draw out of the match. So they'll come with some goals. And the same game parlay here, plus 112. Bodo Glimt to win and over 2.5 goals. They are one of my go-to teams for home wins and goals in Europe. And a player prop, this is just a lean here on a player prop for me. And that is Jens Petter Hauge to score at any time at plus 205. Scored a brace against Porto when they beat them here, 3-2. And again, one of these players that just tends to play his best soccer in and around the home pitch at Asmira Stadion. The forecast isn't too bad for those who are wondering, by the way. A balmy 7 degrees Celsius.
Could be worse.
It's only a bit more warmer here in Yorkshire in the north of England this evening, so they haven't got anything to worry about there. A match that I just want to get your brief thoughts on, James. Nice against Twente. We haven't got any picks or leans on the game, or you might have a small lean, I don't know. But Nice have been a bit of a conundrum this year. Very hard team to work out. They are big favourites here on the money line. They're minus 134. I guess it depends which version of Nice shows up. What do you
Yeah,
think of that money line price on Nice?
a little bit short for me, Steve. I wasn't quite convinced that they justify that. If you look at how they've played both in Europe and in the league, they obviously had some good results recently in the league, and they're starting to show a bit of form. But it is quite short if you look at just their 3 results so far. They haven't won yet. They lost heavily at Lazio 4-1. They've drawn at home to Real Sociedad. I think one thing people need to take into account about Nice is that these first 3 months of the season, they've had a lot of injuries and a lot of suspensions. And when they've been carrying those and also needing to rotate between Europe and League One, I think they're quite tired already. I think they'll have a good season in League One, but I think it's been hard for them so far to field a fresh side in these games on a Thursday every time they've come around. So, yeah, it's one to leave alone. It's certainly a game they could win. It wouldn't be a surprise if they won it. I think if they were to win it, it would probably be a narrow win rather than a big win. But minus 134 for me was just a little bit short. And Twente, you have to say as well, they've done fairly well, haven't they, so far? They've drawn with Fenerbahce at home, and they got that point away to Manchester United, both 1-1 draws. So they've been tough to beat. And yet you could argue that the French league is tougher and a better standard than the Dutch league. I think that would be fair. They're both at the moment, I think, sitting 5th in their 2 leagues. Nice are 5th in League One and Twente are 5th in the Dutch league. So you could argue that gives Nice a slight advantage in terms of form so far. But I also think it shows there's maybe not a huge amount between them. In terms of team news, Nice have got a couple of players missing for this game, and they might rotate a little bit as well. That doesn't make me lean towards Twente. It's just really another reason why I wouldn't be getting involved in this game. I think there's too much uncertainty over Nice at home, and it would be a big ask, I think, for Twente to go there and win. So one to watch rather than to get involved in for me.
That's a fair assessment, I think, James, to be fair. I can't get a good grip on Nice this season at all. So they're, for me, a no-bet sort of team at the moment. There's another match that we don't actually have a bet on either. This is the Roma fixture, Union Saint-Gilloise against Roma. Massive crisis at Roma. I mean, Ivan Juric is hugely on the hot seat. I mean, the poor bloke, it sounds like there's already a short list of managers made up for him. Frank Lampard was on it. Mancini was on it. I mean, this is almost like must win for him to keep his job.
Yeah.
A job that might already be lost, in fairness. He might, who knows what's going on behind the scenes. But my plus 132 favourites here in Belgium. I mean, I could not touch Roma myself. The question is, do we oppose them? Has the value gone? Union Saint-Gilloise plus 205. I mean, look, Serie A is a better league than the Belgian league. But we saw Club Brugge do a job on Aston Villa the other day. You know, do our Royal Union Saint-Gilloise have appeal?
I looked at it from that angle. I was looking for a way to oppose Roma at the moment. As you've mentioned, the manager's under pressure. For people who maybe haven't followed them that closely this season, they're currently sitting 12th in Serie A, nowhere near where they would like to be. I think they've lost 3 out of their first 11 games. And they've not done great in Europe either. I think it's 1 win, 1 draw and 1 defeat. They won at home to Dinamo Kiev, but they haven't got anything away from home yet. I think they lost 1-0 at Elfsborg. There's no reason to support Roma. And obviously, you've mentioned the pressure the manager's under. I don't feel it's the sort of pressure that's going to make the team go out and perform here and win, because he's been under pressure for a few weeks now and we haven't really seen any signs of that. So I went into the game, the fixture, looking at ways to support Union Saint-Gilloise. I can't really see enough of them for me, Steve. They're pretty average in the league. They're sitting 10th in their own Belgian league. They've only won 3 of their 13 games, which is a really poor win rate if you think about it in the league they're playing in. A lot of draws, but they're not winning games. And they've yet to win in their 3 games in the competition in Europe. So it's one of those fixtures where, you know, you look at it and it's like, actually, there's no reason here to back any team, either team. I can't see it. You could look at the draw by default if you want. I know the tie's available at plus 235. It could be one of those games that goes either way for me. So no strong views. I looked through in terms of the outcome, strong views about what's going on at Roma, but
I looked through the other markets, and honestly, there's, for me, not enough form at the moment for either of these two sides. Over 2.5 goals there, plus 107. Maybe. I mean, it might happen, it might not happen. So it's really one to watch for me in terms of following Serie A, which I do, just to see where Roma are after this game and what happens next. But on the game tonight, I would be leaving this one alone myself.
Jared Barton, thank you very much. It's been a good week, actually. For my personal bets on the live show. It's been a very good week. I'm right back from Monday, actually, with Lewis as well. Twente are missing 3 key players today, says Ruse. Under 2.5, says Effie in the Roma match. It could be tight. I actually watched Saint-Gilloise against Bodo Glimt. That was 0-0. They fire a lot of shots to the Belgian team, but they don't tend to have a lot of big chances. So, the teams that are trying to basically score with low XG chances, and a wonder strike might come off, or they're looking for deflections and things like that. I've got a feeling Roma don't win, though. When things are going this bad, I don't know whether they could draw the game. And I might be tempted to nibble on the Belgian side prior to kick-off. There's a conference game I want to talk about in an early kick-off. It's Legia Warsaw against Dinamo Minsk. And also Petroclub against Rapid Vienna. The Legia Warsaw game would be, this is my second best bet of the game, and I'm advising another same game parlay for a man who doesn't have a great track record with them on the main European show. I like win to nil here. I mean, it's not really a same game parlay, is it? But it's going to be Legia Warsaw to win the game and both teams score no, and this comes at plus 112. And the main reason for this is I think you're getting a lot of value. The main line, just on the money line for Legia Warsaw, is minus 250 now. So you combine that with both teams score no, though, and you're getting a plus money, plus 112 on this price. They're a lot better. This is a Polish team against a Belarusian team. And Legia Warsaw in great form. They won 5 in a row. Dinamo Minsk, I've seen quite a lot of them in qualifying and so far the 2 matches they played. And they just don't offer much of a goal threat at all. I think they're going to come here, try and park the bus, edge out a 0-0 draw. They're very limited side. And I think the only way they would really score is a random deflection or something from a set piece. I expect Legia Warsaw to dominate right from the off. And rather than worrying about, overs and things like that, rather than worrying about, say a 2-1, having to cover 1-0 will get you the win here, 2-0 will get you the win here. And if they were to rack up the score big as well, 4 or 5-0 comes into play. But Legia Warsaw for me, win to nil. Let me just put them on the screen again here. That's the team. Legia Warsaw is what they're actually down on the card as officially against Dinamo Minsk. I know with the Conference League, it's a lot more difficult when we're sometimes pronouncing these teams, but it is that top match there. Legia Warsaw, win to nil, or as it is on Bet Rivers, both teams to score no, and Legia Warsaw to win the game. And the other Conference League game I do want to talk about early doors is Petroclub against Rapid Vienna. And I mean, Petroclub, some people might say, who on earth are they? They're from Moldova. And they're playing against Rapid Vienna. Rapid Vienna, really short price favourites here, which might surprise some people. But for me, they are the best team in Austria right now. I think they're playing the best soccer from Austria. The bet that I'm like here, yet again, it's another same game parlay. Would you believe this, James? This would be my third best bet of the day. And I'm going with Rapid Vienna to win and under 3.5 goals. So this covers 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, and the 2-1 win for Rapid. And the main reason for that is, again, Petroclub for me. I know the style they play, this Moldovan outfit. They're very limited. They're not going to offer much. There's quite a golfing class between the leagues. They're not even in the top 2 teams in their own nation, by the way. Sheriff Tiraspol are the best team in Moldova. And Rapid Vienna let me down in the last round. I took them on the handicap against Noah, who we're going to talk about later. And they only won 1-0. And they're that sort of side. They tend to win games by 1-0 or 2-0 sort of thing. So I definitely want the 1-0 on side, and I definitely want the 2-1 on side, rather than take the handicap, which is minus 1.5. So Rapid Vienna to win and under +3.5 goals. That's my third best bet of the day. I'll recap these at the end. Don't worry, we'll get a recap into the bets before the end. But that, I think, concludes the early fixtures that are on the list. Unless, let me just check. The Apoel game, I think, is later on, isn't it, James? Or is it an early one? I get really messed up with these kickoff times.
The Chelsea and the Fiorentina game, they're both later on, so they're in the second set of games that are taking place. There's obviously the two broad kickoff times, early and late. Both of these are in the late category.
I want just a couple of reminders actually before we move on to the next game. We've got a couple of matches today. We've got Championship, West Brom against Burnley. Lewis Jones has a pick for this game. He debuted out on Monday. Under 2 Asian goals was his best bet of the entire Championship round. So do follow that game. You can watch this game live streaming on betrivers.com or the BetRivers app. West Brom against Burnley in the Championship. There's a Serie A match as well. That isn't streamable, I don't think. Genoa against Como. Might have some thoughts about that game later if we've got time. And also the newsletter, the Betting Weekly newsletter. Delighted to say I christened it with first ever win in the newsletter yesterday. It was an exclusive pick given out on Monday to subscribers of the newsletter into draw no bet against Arsenal. I'm 1-0 for the newsletter. That will do me. Stop the count for the season, James.
I'll tell you what as well, Steve, that's a good shout. That was a really good shout. I know a lot of people here in the UK were thinking Arsenal were going to come good and prove what a strong side they are. So great shout on Inter to get something there.
Listen, we're going to have picks each week on the newsletter, exclusive picks from all our handicappers. There was a great video from Nigel Seeley this week on a tennis selection, which I do believe the odds have actually halved on that selection, by the way. But we're basically trying to find you value bets early in the week. We've got the live shows for on the day. We've got also obviously pre-recorded shows. You've got all the content here from Betting Weekly Live, and you have got an exclusive bet on the newsletter in the Manchester United game, which I'm not going to reveal here. Do subscribe to the newsletter. I put it up there on the link there. Unfortunately, you won't be able to get James's pick if you've not already subscribed. But for those who already did, then there is a pick on the Manchester United game today against PAOK in the Europa League. Just to remind people, Manchester United are really short price favourites here. -500 on the money line, and the goal line is +305. There's a house special, which I've got to mention from BetRivers today, a special raised price. And this is Marcus Rashford to score and Manchester United over 2.5 goals at +255. A house special on BetRivers for those who are interested in that. Massive value on that if you do like Marcus Rashford this evening in the Manchester United game. What's everyone betting on there at Old Trafford? I know James's bet, and anyone who's got the newsletter knows James's bet. So best of luck with that selection, James.
Thank you.
Back to Europa League. Actually, no, we're going Conference League. Chelsea against Noah. Wow, bring on the Noah puns, everyone, because they're a brilliantly named team. Chelsea, this is proper David against Goliath. Yes. Seriously, David against Goliath. And Chelsea now, I'm just looking at the latest odds with BetRivers. Chelsea -3335. We've got the tie at 18-1. Noah as big as 35-1 on the money line, and a huge goal line as well. Knocking on the door, I think, of Asian line of 4.25. What's the play here then, James? Because I was looking at this. This is a huge handicap for a Conference League. What do you like?
It's a huge handicap. Well, first thing to say about this game, I think, is that we're expecting Chelsea to rotate here. Again, same thing as we said about Tottenham applies. We don't know for sure because we're before the teams have been announced. But what we can say is we are more confident here than we are, well, I'm speaking for myself, more confident here than I was on Tottenham's game that Chelsea will rotate. And the reasons for that are simple. It's the pattern we've seen so far in the Conference League from them. They're looking to use that big squad that they've got. Everybody knows how many players Chelsea have signed. We've talked about it many, many times. Well, this is a competition where those players are starting matches. And the second reason we think they're going to rotate here is what you've just alluded to, Steve. It's the difference in quality between the two sides. If Chelsea, can't rotate at home to Noah, then it's a washout, isn't it? So you're expecting lots and lots of players in the starting lineup here who you wouldn't necessarily see in the Premier League. Having said all that, I would not be put off backing Chelsea, even though we know they're going to be under strength. I've been quite impressed by what I've seen from, what you might call their second string players. They won 4-1 away at Panathinaikos in this competition. I was on them there with the handicap. They won 4-2 at home to Ghent, where I felt they were a little bit sloppy, but they got the job done. So I'm not fazed really by the fact that some of the big names aren't going to be there tonight. And when you look at who the second string names are, Steve, I mean, we're talking about people like Christopher Nkunku, who's a France international. We're talking about Mudryk, Joao Felix. These are the guys that at the moment we think are going to be starting tonight. They should be comfortably good enough to beat Noah. So, yeah, it's obviously a really, really short price on Chelsea. And the handicap line around evens is obviously really, really high. Chelsea -3 is my pick on the Asian handicap line.
This is your second best bet of the day, isn't it?
This is my second best bet of the day. My first bet's coming up shortly. My second best bet of the day is Chelsea -3. It's -159, maybe a little bit short for some people. I understand that. That's partly why I put it in as my second best bet. I think Chelsea should definitely be equal in that handicap. They should be winning the game by 3 goals. If they win it by 3 goals, they equal the handicap. They go on and win it by more than 3 goals, then you've got a winning pick here. I feel that from what I've seen from them so far with a weakened side when they've rotated, the fact that they're at home and the fact that those second string players, from what I've seen, are really keen to impress in this competition, I think Chelsea should be winning this game by 3 goals. So that was my pick on the Asian handicap. It's my second best bet of the day. It's Chelsea -3, and it's available at -159. Now, some people may want to wait a little bit closer to kickoff. Again, I understand that as well. We think, as I say, it's going to be the likes of Nkunku, Mudryk, Joao Felix, who'll be starting in attack. Disasi, Badiashile are candidates to start in defence. But I think there's enough there. So, yeah, Chelsea -3 on the Asian handicap. That's my pick, and it's -159.
Yeah, I'm loving the Noah comments and puns. Noah playing a 2x2 formation and expecting a flood of goals. David's come up with an interesting suggestion there. Team goals over 3.5 and win to 0. Maybe you could juice up your prices. I tell you what, watch out for the starting lineups here. I mean, right now we've got the likes of Mudryk +112 to score anytime, Neto -106. Don't know if we're going to start or not, but that would be. I mean, if Mudryk started, I would bet on him to score at +112.
Yes.
I think the thing with Chelsea, right? Some people might say, and you made this very good point in the Panathinaikos fixture last time we did this show. Some teams might just not care and want to sleepwalk their way through these, but there's so much competition for places in Chelsea.
That's the thing. I was going to say, Steve, they've got to perform, and they're really keen to perform. And these are top class footballers. Yeah, these are guys going for international places. I think it was Nkunku I flagged up before that Panathinaikos game. He's just got back into the France squad. He wants to keep his place in that France squad and all the rest of it. So they're taking these games as seriously as any Chelsea player takes the Premier League games, let me tell you. And I just feel for me that pushes. I think I saw somebody in the comments there while I was talking say they quite fancy Noah on the handicap line. I do get that because it's obviously such a big line. But my view is that honestly, there is a difference in class here between Chelsea's B team and Noah. And at home, as I say, they should be equal in that handicap. I think -3, winning by 3 goals is what Chelsea should be doing here. So I'd rather go with that, and you've got a chance of getting your stakes back than I would back in Noah here to get the handicap pick.
Claudio says Glimt price from 1.5 to 1.63 is the only worry. I think that might be lineup dependent, Claudio. I did say earlier they are involved in a title race in Norway, which has got really close. They're only leading by goal difference. They might have an eye on the weekend game, but they're used to rotating and stuff. Qarabag do have 2 suspensions, by the way, Claudio, in this game, and they've had goalkeeping problems all year. So I'm not that concerned. It's a real fortress, is Asmira Stadium, but we'll see if we can get them lineups before we leave the show. Some notable bets on the Europa League today. So I want to talk about the biggest one is on Manchester United on the money line, nearly $5,000 on that. We've got some interesting corner bets today. Some significant money on the corners for Union Saint-Gilloise, over 4.5 corners for them, and also Olympiacos in their game against Rangers. I've seen in the last few weeks a lot more people betting on the corners James. I had a
Yeah.
corner bet on the PSG game last night, which cruised in. And if you do get a good corner angle, you can really get a decent edge. The Tottenham team is out. There is no Solanke. They're saving Solanke probably for that Ipswich game at the weekend.
Yeah.
And
Not a massive. We should say. I was going to say not a massive surprise, Steve. You know, Son and Maddison. Yeah, we thought it would be a mix, didn't we? We thought it would be a mix. I think Chelsea, as I say, it might be more rotation than Tottenham, but we thought there might be some names out of that team, so not a big surprise.
I think Son and Maddison, they're not even going to last 65 minutes for me. I mean, I think they're coming back from injuries. I'd be really surprised if they actually last more than an hour, really, or much more than an hour. So I think it's certainly that Galatasaray Tino bet still looks very good to me. A notable winner from last night. I just wanted to mention this because I know a lot of people will get interested in these. A fantastic anytime goal scorer, $5,000 on Alexander Zubkov to score in the Shakhtar Donetsk game at plus 410. That's a fantastic goal scorer winner with significant money there. Never going to park the boat, says Christian instead. They're from Armenia. They're an Armenian team. They had an incredible qualifying run. If anyone from that region is watching, we're not disrespecting them or anything. We're just highlighting it. It's a big golfing class between the two sides in general, and certainly the two leagues in general. That was your second best bet of the day. Your best bet of the day, we're saving the best till last here, James. Apoel Nicosia against Fiorentina. Cyprus against Italy here in the Conference League. Fiorentina, of course, Conference League regulars. They know how to get results. They beat out St. Gallen last time out. Fiorentina minus 155 on the money line here. And you are very interested.
I think this is a great bet. Yeah, my pick of the day is Fiorentina, not on the money line. Again, people might want to do that. I wouldn't talk anybody out of it. Minus 155, a little bit short for what I'd like to do, but I think that's a good shout. I'm backing them minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap, which is available at minus 125. So with that pick, half your stakes will win if Fiorentina win by a single goal, and you'll get a full stakes winner if they go on and win by 2 or more goals. I think everything about this game suggests Fiorentina should get it won. So starting with Fiorentina, they are on a fantastic run of form. They've won, I think it's 7 games now in all competitions. And they've impressed in a lot of those games. We've seen them play well. They've got 2 wins in this competition. I think you were on them, Steve, on the goals when they won 4-2 away at St. Gallen of Switzerland. And they've had a 2-0 home win as well in this competition against weaker opposition. So everything about Fiorentina's general form is very good. Now, one thing to say, we're expecting Fiorentina to rotate here. We think some of their bigger names who would normally start in Serie A won't be involved. I wouldn't worry too much about that because I think their reserves are pretty good. I think the drop-off in standard is there, but they've rotated already in this competition and they've won games, and I don't see any reason why they can't win this. Some of the players I think might start tonight. Jonathan Ikone, people might remember him from Paris Saint-Germain and Lille. He scored 2 goals in that win at St. Gallen. Amir Richardson, very good young midfielder they signed from the French league as well, might start. And Yassine Adli, the former AC Milan midfielder. This is the type of player that is not a guaranteed starter at Fiorentina, but could come in tonight. That should be plenty good enough to get the win away to Apoel Nicosia. And it's a similar situation to the one we talked about with Chelsea. These players coming in, they're going to have everything to prove because they're not that far off a first team place. It's a great opportunity for them to show what they can do. So I think Fiorentina should be fine here. Very quickly on Apoel Nicosia. Yes, they're obviously a weaker side. They're from the Cypriot League. They're only 4th at the moment in the Cypriot League. This is not a team that's dominating, a much weaker league in Europe. They've only won 5 out of 9 games, and they haven't won in 2 games in this competition. I think they lost 1-0 at home to a team from Bosnia, Borac, and they only drew 1-1 away to Shamrock Rovers from Ireland. Every way I look at this, Fiorentina, even with some rotation, should be strong enough to win. So it's my strongest bet of the show. It's Fiorentina minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap. I think minus 125 is a great price. As I say, if you like the money line price, it's a lot shorter, but that might be fine. I wouldn't talk anybody out of that. But I think on the Asian handicap, minus 125, the Serie A team here should be getting all 3 points.
It's Big Dog. He subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate that one. Benny's asking, where's Kit Kat? Is he all good? He's not to be seen. He's been upstairs all day. So no sign of him today. So for those who were betting on him to appear, unfortunately, they're not getting paid out just yet. Where was I going back on? If you can get on the cards market, over 3.5, Dinamo Kiev, Ferencvaros, says Nigel. A bit of inside info there from Nigel on those two teams going straight at it. Fazi Azam, an opinion on the Bilbao game. I looked at this, Ludogorets, the Bulgarian side.
Yeah.
I think I'd go Bilbao win, really. I think they're better, but any trip to the Eastern Bloc of Europe can be a bit annoying for sort of your established teams. So I'm not sure. I looked at it, but I'm like, no. That's the sort of match that Bilbao can win, and I'm happy with it. And I'm not that bothered about getting involved in the game. I've got my prop bet for before we go. My lean on the prop bet is in the Glimt game. Jens Petter Hauger to score any time, presuming he's starting. I'll check that lineup. But I've also got a lot of interest in the Molde game later on. They are away to the Polish champions Jagiellona, which I know I butchered that pronunciation. If there's anyone from Poland here, I do apologise. But Jagiellona against Molde, Ola Brynhildsen to score at any time, plus 195. The reason this guy is priced so high is because he's a midfielder. He's a midfielder listed on the squad as a midfielder. He is playing as a striker because Molde have got so many injuries in the striking department. He scored 2 goals against Bodo Glimt at the weekend. He also missed a penalty. This is in the first half. He should have had a first half hat trick. He's in great form. Former player, they sold him, brought him back, and at close to 2-1, plus 195. Ola Brynhildsen, anytime scorer. That is my player prop bet today. Jagiellona against Molde. That is a 3 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. Someone asked me to pick an over 4.5 goals game, and I'd tell you what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Lask Linz against Cercle Bruges at plus 425. I've looked at a few here, but I do think if you want a real bit of big value, a Stevie special, that's what Kushel called it. Lask Linz against Cercle Bruges over 4.5. You could also look at the St. Gallen game, Larne against St. Gallen. We know what St. Gallen are like in Europe. But my problem with the Irish teams, whenever the Irish teams get involved in Europe, they tend to play very negatively. They just do. So that concerns me. It does take two to tango. I'm not sure they're there to dance.
Yeah.
So,
well, there you
Gallen,
go. Yeah.
I'm always looking out for St. Gallen.
You do need to. Very quickly, I saw a question there on the Hoffenheim Lyon game. Any thoughts? Yes. My thoughts are I can't back Lyon at the moment. I'm a little bit unsure what we're going to get. We got stung both, didn't we, Steve, in the weekend show on Lyon a couple of weeks ago, I think. So it's potentially a very open game, is that, and probably quite a good watch. But Lyon at the moment, for me, we're just not 100% sure which one's going to turn up. So I would leave that game alone. Personally, I think there are better opportunities around today.
Yeah, I think Lyon I lost badly on them that week against Besiktas, and then I can't believe Besiktas have won their last 2 Europa games, by the way. I don't rate Besiktas at all. They got very lucky again against Malmo yesterday. But yeah, Lyon are on my blacklist. Really annoyed with that. So just before we go, I want to remind people we've got Thursday night football in the NFL. My Ravens are in action. Cincinnati Bengals at Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are on the money line minus 278 favorites. Put your best bets in here for Monday Night Football. 88% of the money is on the Ravens. 83% of the tickets are on the Ravens. The spread, though, +6 on Cincinnati on the Bengals. 55% of the money is on the +6. So for those who are taking the spread, the Bengals are slightly more favored there. And no surprise in the prop markets here. Derrick Henry is very much in the handle here to be scoring a touchdown at any time, minus 420. Very popular prop bet here for Derrick Henry, the running back for the Baltimore Ravens. He's plus 188 to score two or more touchdowns. That is actually the most popular player prop bet in general. So a lot of money on Derrick Henry. He's been in great form for the Ravens. I don't know if I'll be staying up for this one or not, James. But the Ravens have actually won 8 straight Thursday home games. So a great record on Thursday for the Baltimore Ravens. What are you taking on Thursday night football. Clebo likes Ravens -6 if T. Higgins doesn't play. Just looking at a few, both teams off huge blowouts, indeed. But yeah, do put your best bets in for that on the chat or in on the live replay. And before we go, I say we're going to go through our best bets. So talk us through your best bet, your second best bet, the third best bet, and a reminder of the player prop.
Yeah, so my best bet is Fiorentina -0.75 Asian handicap away at Apoel -125. My second best bet is Chelsea -3 goal start on the Asian handicap. That's at home to Noah FC. That's at -159. And my third best bet is Galatasaray Tino bet at home to Tottenham, and that's at -127.
Yeah, my best bet of the day is Bodo Glimt win and over 2.5 goals in the Bodo Glimt game against Qarabag. Second best bet is Legia Warsaw win to 0. And the third best bet is Rapid Vienna win and under 3.5 goals. And the prop bet, Ola Brynhildsen to score any time for Molde. And a lean on Jens Petter Hauge.
I'm very quickly, Steve. My prop bet was on that same game, the Galatasaray game. It's Icardi and Victor Osimhen to have over 0.5 shots on target each. That's in a same game parlay at +102.
That concludes the show. So much to talk about. Remember to subscribe to the newsletter. Do hit the like button. Do hit the subscribe button for the YouTube channel. Premier League show is out with Dan, Jack, Nigel. Betting Weekly Extra Time European edition with me, you, and Dan is going to be released tomorrow. Recorded it earlier today. It was a great show. And yeah, my thanks to you, James, as always, for top show here on the Europa League and Conference. Best of luck, whatever you're taking. And I'll be back on Betting Weekly Live tomorrow with Mr. Jack Wright. So we'll catch you then. Cash those winning tickets today. And remember to gamble responsibly. See you next time on Betting Weekly Live.